Welcome to episode 1 of GeeKlare. I'm Donnie, and Kit's here too. Say hi, Kit.
Hi, Kit.
We're gonna talk all things geek culture on this podcast. And if you're wondering who we are, I'm Donnie. I'm an 80s kid who remembers what it was like having only 4 TV channels growing up. 4, 5, 7, 9, and if you were really lucky, you got channel 20 too. Consequently, I watched a lot of Saturday morning cartoons growing up. I discovered the Ninja Turtles, Spider-Man, He-Man, and eventually Batman the Animated Series. I loved them all, and that love led me to discover that my favorite characters also had comic books and live-action movies, too. I remember falling for the marketing when DC Comics did the Doomsday storyline. My granny didn't want to buy an upcharged event comic, and I told her she didn't get it. It was the death of Superman. They'd never, ever make another one. Turns out Granny was right. Then one day I discovered larger-than-life pro wrestlers, who were the closest thing to real-life superheroes. I mean, besides, first responders and doctors and stuff. Anyway, I remember debating why Hulk Hogan was better than Ric Flair and how happy I was when I was 12 and actually got to see Hulk live in action. Then I became an adult and Terry Bollea made it awkward to like his work. I was so happy, though, when I went to the live wrestling shows and the Comic Cons and things like that, because I met other people who were as passionate as me about the stuff I was into. More than the fandoms themselves, I love the sense of community that comes with being into a thing that doesn't hurt anybody. That's a big reason why we chose geek culture for the subject of this podcast. These days my interests span movies, Funko Pops, and lots of other things geek culture. How about you, Kit?
Love wrestling shows, too. The live ones are fantastic. But that takes me back. As a very young kid, my family was stationed in Italy. The base only had a few cartoons with spoken English. I know it was rough. We had Mighty Mouse, Felix the Cat, and Popeye. I gotta say I was a touch salty back then when I realized Popeye was a sailor, not a Marine. Hoorah! My father wasn't a fan of comic books, though, because they were low literature. They were low literature here. Anyway, my early childhood involved lots of fantasy, sci-fi, and mystery books. I was so eager to go with my father to the drugstore. He thought I wanted to be a pharmacist when I grew up. Little did he know, I prayed the line was long and would move like molasses because I'd parked myself in front of the comic book turnstile and had split my attention between the fisheye surveillance mirror and thrilling verboten trash. The way most kids would try to steal peeks into the swimsuit issues or Playgirls and Playboys, I was speed reading Peter Parker slinging webs at the Green Goblin, Mandrake the Magician and Tony Stark going to a black tie fundraiser. In a pinch, I could even get an inky fix from an Archie comic, so long as I could find the Sabrina the Teenage Witch chapter. Anyways, to this day, I don't know if any of them even got to enjoy one amuse-bouche, let alone why their arch-nemesis had it out for them. The only thing I do know, it wasn't until I got older, aka had my own income, that my love for comics and TV series would expand to include graphic novels, films, and video games, and that I no longer needed to be a spy master to enjoy them.
We're recording this inaugural episode in December. Merry Christmas Hanukkah to everyone listening, by the way.
Happy Festivus!
So we thought it'd be appropriate for episode 1 to do our spoiler review of Merry Little Batman. Some YouTubers do non-spoiler reviews and then spoiler reviews, but we don't have time for that. So if you haven't seen Merry Little Batman, click out of here, go on Amazon Prime Video and watch it, and then come back. You've been warned.
Merry Little Batman is the latest Warner Brothers animated film not canceled for tax purposes. Directed by Mike Roth, who brought us the regular show and the marvelous misadventures of Flapjack. Written by Morgan Evans, who did The Fix and Teen Titans Go. And Jace Ricci, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure writers. It also stars Idiocracy's Luke Wilson as Batman, David Hornsby as the Joker, and Jonas Kipriev as the titular Damian Wayne. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Kitrium, not Titler.
I believe it's pronounced Titlier.
It's definitely not. I'm calling HR.
Well, anyway, yeah, Rickety Cricket is the Joker. As an Always Sunny fan, I found that hilarious. The gang finally drove him over the edge, and now he's the Joker.
Joker says it only takes one bad day, and Cricket's had what, 172?
This movie's also the latest in a surprisingly long line of Batman holiday content. I mean, you've got Batman Returns, you've got Season 1, Episode 2 of Batman the Animated Series, Christmas with the Joker, and yes, I know the air date order was different than the production order, but most recently that was the order that they came in, so sue me, geeks. You've got Bat Wheels, Season 1, Episode 17, Holidays on Ice, and you've even got Batman the Brave and the Bold, Season 1, Episode 4, Invasion of the Secret Santas. You've even got some honorable mentions with Shazam and Wonder Woman 1984. So, if you want to have a Christmas Bat Marathon on Christmas Day, you can.
Oh, thank goodness. I can only watch A Christmas Story so many times.
Before we get into spoilers, let's talk our overall thoughts. Did you have any expectations going into this movie?
Not really. I didn't even spoil myself with the trailer, which kind of sounds like I need to shout out spilled mustard and bloodstains from my bat cape, which I don't. The little Batman in the title should be a clue that this is going to be a Damian Wayne-centered entry into the Bat Archives. I'll be honest, I'm not up to current Bat canon. I went in cold, expecting nothing. I just hoped it wasn't going to be Home Alone. I think the writers did a good job going the extra step turning Damian into a multifaceted character. Not just a stereotypical 8-year-old that hero worships his father's alter ego, daydreaming they'll protect Gotham fighting crime side by side. He's also learning morals and family values and what it's like to have a modern nuclear family. The artwork being closer to a children's book is fitting, which doesn't mean I like it, because I kind of really don't. I hoped it was going to be cleaner lines like Batman Beyond.
It's funny you name-dropped Home Alone because, yeah, I went in thinking it was exactly Home Alone, but with Damian Wayne. And I was in for that story, by the way. I was totally in for that. The trailer really doesn't do this movie any favors, in hindsight. When we only got one scene of Damian Home Aloneing it with the bad guys, I was initially disappointed, actually. But the movie luckily won me back because of its heart and its comedy. It's kind of like a gift I didn't know I wanted until I got it.
Dare I say, a Christmas bat miracle?
With Home Alone, I know what to expect already, right? So the unpredictability was nice. Now, we also talk about the soundtrack. I'm a sucker for a good movie soundtrack, and this one does not disappoint. The Kinks open the film with Father Christmas, and throughout the movie, you get Lil Jon, the Vandals, some holiday music, and you even get the Jingle Bells Batman Smells parody song, which is the third time DC and Warner Brothers have actually used that in canon Batman content. So that's pretty cool. The only song I hated was that Augie Rios one when Damian's at the mall.
Aw, but why, Donnie? It's so meta-funny. It literally means, where is Santa Claus, in Spanish, while Damien is searching for Santa Claus. Now, I understand, if you're like me, you don't really like hearing holiday songs, or any song for that matter, sung by little insipid kid voices, which I agree, it is kind of grating on my nerves. It doesn't make him sound innocent and cute and childlike. It makes him sound kind of whiny. That's why I don't like that song.
Every holiday, every Christmas, you always get that one song that you can't stop hearing. And this year, that is that song for me. It's unskippable on my Tubi TV ads. I've heard it in like 3 different commercials. I'm sick of it. So when it popped up in that movie, I cringed so hard.
Oh, tell us why you love it more.
Mamacita, la 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 Santa Claus.
You're going to get a record contract at this rate. All I can say is, now it's Batman canon. You'll have to put it on your Batman Day playlist, whether you like it or not.
Dang it. You're right. Fine. I'll put it right there next to R. Kelly.
I really liked the original music Fall Out Boy's Patrick Stump did, and how the other songs really complemented and or foreshadowed events that were actually unfolding. Father Christmas is about rich kids stealing things they don't need to. Oi to the World about two gangs at odds coming together in the spirit of Christmas at the end. Even Sweet Gingerbread Man when Joker is enjoying his snow globe retirement home Christmas party with all their Grinched Christmas loot. Though not my favorite song, I even enjoyed the late Sharon Jones and the Dat Kings version of Just Another Christmas Song. You know, if only for Old Lang Syne.
Let's talk about the Easter eggs. Every good superhero movie, you gotta have them Easter eggs these days, right? Well, we paused the movie so you guys didn't have to. Kid, what did you notice?
This is what I noticed. In Damien's carb load, after his parkour tantrum, we see him snuffle a tub of what seems to be Dr. Superman ice cream. And then, when he's driving his Batsicle, we see a wonderful tribute to the Bob Kane and Bill Finger Memorial Drive. Then, in Dankworth, we get to see a great cameo of Silver Age comic book artist Carmine Infante, who wrote Barbara Gordon as the second Batgirl. He was the poor schlub whose coffee got spilled. And it also turns out that he's a good family friend of the director Mike Roth. I thought it was hilarious that any chance he got, Damien was ditching his Batman underoos, like when he cannonballed into the pool and later when he donned his Batman suit. You know, because he didn't like the baggy West suit or the uber-revealing Kilmer Clooney bat suit that Bob Kane also hated. We even get Alfred's special cocoa recipe. Get your pens ready or skip ahead a little if you're not a cocoa fan. And why wouldn't you be? It's just for Christmas. You add a mug of steamed whole milk to 30 grams of your favorite chocolate bar, chopped up, then blitzed in a spice grinder with a pinch of cinnamon. You finish it off with a spritz of wonderful whipped cream and as many marshmallows as you feel like, and then a pirouette cookie straw. What did you see, Donnie?
We now have canonical phone numbers for some of the DC characters. You want to trump your friends at trivia night? Well, now you can. I should preface this by pointing out that none of these are real phone numbers. 555, for those that don't know, is classic Hollywood speak for this is not a real phone number, because they know that idiots, including me, would actually try to call the numbers. This is also why no one has an area code. Nightwing's phone number is 555-0172. Alfred's cell phone number is 555-0198. And I thought that was interesting that they made the cell phone distinction. Is that opposed to landline phones? Bruce Wayne is rich enough. He could get them all landline phones if he wanted to. He could burn that money. Why not?
Well, maybe Alfred still, popped out to the corner store again, so they got to get him on the cell phone.
I mean, he is the butler. You need him on call 24/7, I would imagine. You need him for butler stuff and for helping Batman stuff. I'm sure that's a full-time job.
And also now being a governess type kind of grandfather figure for Damien.
That's true. I also noticed that the Kent's phone number is 555-0121. Don't know if that includes Clark Kent or just the parents, but, we'll have to look for Superman's phone number in future lore and see if that matches.
Maybe it's just to his parents, in case Damien needs to act out on the farm. A little tough love, shovel some hay, pick up after the horses.
I could see that. They also gave phone numbers for various emergency contacts, but strangely enough, some of those contacts have names and characters elsewhere in other Batverses, so I don't know why they didn't just throw those Easter eggs in too while they were at it. You've got a phone number for a therapist. Well, in animated series, that's Leslie Tompkins. You've got phone numbers for a lifeguard and the Navy. First of all, Aquaman. Why is his number not on there? Aquaman should trump the Navy and the lifeguards. I know he's supposed to be the most useless member of the Justice League, but really?
Why not babysitters? Shouldn't, the Wonder Twins be the babysitters on the list?
That's a good point. And they were name-dropped in the movie, too. Where was their phone number? You've got an unnamed IT guy. That's kind of funny.
Maybe it's Lucius Fox.
I could see that. I could also see him being the unnamed mechanic. He could be both. Of course, Batman the Animated Series also had a mechanic named Earl whose job it was to fix the Batmobile, so it could be him, too. And perhaps most hilariously, you've got the unnamed attorney, and maybe that's Harvey Dent. But, like, dude, imagine that. That's a full-time job, too. Like, imagine that. Imagine being the Wayne family attorney, and you've got the family trying to keep these dual identity secrets from you.
Mr. Wayne, CPS called again. Why does Damien have a black eye?
The Riddler. I mean, rich guy stuff skiing accident. He hit a tree.
That's what you said last week when Jason Todd had a broken leg. Bruce, is there something I need to know?
I have to go now.
Heads I call the cops, tails I don't.
I want that comic book.
Getting into the real meat of the movie, I like how it's creating a new backstory for Damien. It's diverging from the typical, I was a test tube baby and got unceremoniously dumped on the doorsteps of Wayne Manor when I was 10 years old and a martial artist raised by the League of Assassins. Wah. Instead, Bruce knows he's going to be a father. He even had enough prep time to clean up and reform Gotham into the safest city, so that he could be a stay-at-home, Keaton-esque Mr. Mom. I like that we know Bruce is a touch of a Batcopter dad and wants Damien to have the picture-perfect childhood he missed out on. And that Damien's mischievous and naughty, but not an evil sociopath, angry at the world. Mind you, I knew they weren't going to make Alfred Pennyworth young. It wouldn't make sense. But they didn't have to age him vastly past Sean Pertwee's Gotham age. Sure, Alfred's a proud pseudo-grandfather for Damien, but he's one stumble from an osteoporosis break. He's like Crypt Keeper geriatric. It makes me sad. I like how they left Damien's mom a mystery. We have 3 contenders, so long as it doesn't turn out to be a random Martha the Maid scenario. The obvious canonical mum would be Talia al Ghul, which Bruce's heart Talia tattoo supports. Will we see his twin sister, Athanasia, in the future? Then there's Catwoman. Damien's best playmate is an old cat, Selina. Perhaps we'll get some sisterly Helena Wayne Huntress interaction. And lastly, because Joker gave himself the moniker Uncle Joker, the writers might be running with the Phoenix thread that he's Bruce's illegitimate brother, or maybe it means Damien's really Harley Quinn's. Will we see any mayhem with his sister Lucy? I also like the Dankworth nod to A Christmas Story with Poison Ivy and Bane as Santa's helper and Santa, and the swift list of gadgets Damien asked for before getting to why he needed to talk to Santa in the first place, which coincidentally Batman has in the Return to Arkham City video games, those exact gadgets.
Well, I liked the deeper unexplored layers of this movie. There's no more Arkham. Bruce presumably bought that building. He turned it into Arkham Daycare. Well, where are the insane supposed to go now? Is it just Blackgate Prison for them now? Do we just not believe in mental health and rehabilitation anymore? They treated it as a quick joke in a montage, but that would be interesting to actually explore. And while we're at it, he also bought Ace Chemicals. And, like, why does he not just buy up all of the buildings? Bruce Wayne could do that. If you just buy up all of the known villain hideouts, then they have nowhere to hide out anymore. And you just trap them like rats and limit their options. Use your money to your advantage, man. My God, what are you doing? I like Bruce trying to shield Damien now that he's a dad, now that he's in that unfamiliar role. Trying to give him the childhood that Bruce himself never got to have. That's an interesting position for him to be in now. It's also interesting to think about, there was a point in this movie, Damien was ready to give up. He ran into Alfred again, he burned down the city, things were not working out, and he was ready to give up. And what if he had? He was ready to give up, and then the Joker kidnapped him and kind of forced him to stay in action. But what if he didn't? I want that what-if comic. I want that alternate universe. What if he would have just given up? Does Batman die? Does Batman and the cops save the day and Damien stop trying to be a hero? Does he just try again later? It's really interesting to think about. And I really like the emotional beats in here too. When Damien tells him, I'm not just a kid, I'm your kid, and Bruce recognizes that he's right. And we knew from earlier in the movie, when Damien was watching a video of Batman, that he admitted on the video, he knew that one day Damien would be ready to take over that Batman mantle. He didn't think he was ready yet, but he knew, he trained him for it, and he knew he'd be ready.
And if he was watching that video before Bruce was dead, oh, he was in big trouble, mister.
I like that. I liked when Scared Damien only had the AI version of his dad to talk to help him, and then that Bat Dad had to sacrifice himself, and then Damien really was scared and alone for a minute. It made me emotional. It made me care about AI and its death, and that's hard to do now because AI is scary as hell. And as you pointed out earlier, I loved Alfred being the grandpa and just wanting to make the kid feel better with some cocoa, some overly sugared cocoa. And I loved Alfred going out no matter what time of night it was and getting him those marshmallows. That was adorable. The only thing I hated, well, not the only thing, I hated not knowing who the mom was, though. I hated not... That was the other thing I hated. But story-wise, I hated not knowing who the mom was. But I do agree with your picks that it's probably Talia Selena or maybe even Harley Quinn. And I would have loved to have seen Harley Quinn in that style. She was suspicious and conspicuous by her absence there. And I do hope we learn who the mom is if this thing eventually gets a sequel. I hated that, and I hated the continued misuse of Mr. Freeze, but luckily he's not in the movie that much. I hate how the DC animated world, this one did it, Batwheels did it. I hate that they've reduced him to the Arnold Schwarzenegger ice puns, unfunny joke of a character. He's one of Batman's greatest villains. Heart of Ice from Batman the Animated Series, that was a Mr. Freeze episode. That was one of the episodes that won them an award. That canon was so beloved that it became the canon for Mr. Freeze, just trying to save his wife Nora. Mr. Freeze doesn't have to be a joke and shouldn't be a joke. There's a reason they didn't continue the Batman and Robin universe back in the day. I get wanting to shout it out, and actually I was reading on the IMDb trivia that Morgan Evans intentionally put Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, and Bane in there, those depictions of them, because he was a fan of Batman and Robin, the movie. Yeah, he was the one. He was the one who liked it.
I thought they were playing off of the video game, Arkham City, that I mentioned earlier when I said things about his bat gadgets.
I want a serious Mr. Freeze again. It's a disability, and it's horrifying if you really play it realistically. Ask anybody with body temperature issues, ask anybody with certain conditions. There's not a lot of plot holes, but I also didn't care for the plot holes. When Damien gets kidnapped, he was right about to go inside with Alfred. Alfred should be out scouring the city looking for him. He doesn't know where that kid went. Where was he at the end of this movie? And how did Batman conveniently know where and when to show up? And yes, he showed up right on time, and yes, I know he showed up right on time, A, because he's Batman, and B, because the script said this is when Batman shows up and saves his kid, But
how did he do it? Yeah, well, my theory is he's such a bat-capturing dad that he has a GPS in the belt he gave Damien.
That's a good theory, I could see that. It kind of makes sense because Mr. Freeze, presumably, like all the other villains in this movie, were working with the Joker, so Mr. Freeze knew to go to where they were. But did Batman just follow him? Did he have a tracker on him? I would have liked to have seen that. I would have liked to have seen the explanation, and really, it couldn't have taken that many more minutes to put it in there. I feel like that part of the movie made me feel like some stuff got cut out that I would have liked to have seen.
Supposedly, we're going to get new wings of the manor, new places in the manor, I guess. I'd love to see his siblings and his mom, getting him his own cast of ne'er-do-wells. Is it just me, or did we witness the birth of Damien's first arch-nemesis, Terry, and maybe even Francine? Or see his school life? Who doesn't think watching Bruce sit through a Kitty concert after hearing how off-tuned Damien was in the elevator would be hilarious? You can picture an evil band teacher, or maybe Damien having to go into a latchkey after-school program at Arkham Daycare because Batman had to save the afternoon, or Alfred and Bruce having to be a chaperone on a school trip to Ace Renewable Energy Plant.
I could see that. I want his music teacher, his piano teacher, whose phone number was also mentioned. I want him to be Music Meister, still played by Neil Patrick Harris. Thank you very much.
I'd watch that.
That would be a great episode. I want the mom reveal. If we get Bat Family, knock on wood, hopefully Warner Brothers doesn't cancel that too. The Bat Family is a fun premise. You can do a lot with that, especially if you're going with the comedic take. I'd love to see the mom reveal no matter who it is. I'd love to see the other rooms in the manor. What does Batman's attic look like? We know the basement's the Bat Cave, but, what else is there? How many bedrooms does he have? Does the cat have its own room? Are there other pets? Is Ace the Bat Hound there too? If so, does he get along with Selena the cat? There's a lot of room there you could play with.
Quinn's mom.
Do
we get to see her hyenas?
If she's the mom, we could get the hyenas interacting. That could be cool. Honestly, you know what they could do here? They could adapt the Wayne Family Adventures webtoon series. That was fun. I remember there was one issue of that in particular. Damien, because he's Damien, he was that weird kid who couldn't really make friends at school, and he took that as his super serious mission that, okay, by the end of the school day today, I'm gonna have a friend. And he ends up just meeting a kid at one of the after-school clubs and playing D&D with them. It was adorable.
That would be watchable.
Shout out to the Wayne Family Adventures, by the way. It's a limited webtoon series. If you guys haven't checked that out, check it out. It basically shows their lives when they're not out being superheroes, and it is really cute. I would definitely recommend it to everybody. And speaking of recommending stuff to people, we have some recommendations, don't we, Kit?
Yeah, before we sign off this week, we want to recommend some other things you can watch if, say, the rest of your family is tired of your devotion to Batman, and you don't want to watch another Rankin Bass stop-motion chestnut. Disney Plus has the Doctor Who Holiday Special Trilogy, which already dropped, which features David Tennant as the Doctor and Catherine Tate as one of my all-time favorite companions, Donna Noble. Not to be confused with the Nakuti Gatwa as the Doctor in the episode The Church on Ruby Road, which will actually be streaming on December 25th. Merry Christmas to us. We've got Dashing Through the Snow with Chris Ludacris Bridges, Teyona Paris, and Lil Rel Howery. On Prime Video, there's Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy, Jillian Bell, and Tracy Ellis Ross, and Ken Marino, who I've loved since he played the demon Tony on Reaper.
If Jillian Bell's in it, I'm definitely going to watch it. I loved her on Workaholics.
Yep, it's her. Reyes Contra Santa with Cara Elejalde, David Ferdaguer, and Mateus Janik. It is subtitled. It might even be dubbed. What's on Netflix, Donnie?
On Netflix, we got Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey, with iconic actor Forrest Whitaker, Magdalene Mills, and Keegan-Michael Key, who we all love from Key and Peele. Claus, with the late Norm Macdonald, rest in peace, J.K. Simmons, everyone's favorite J. Jonah Jameson, and Jason Schwartzman. We also got A Boy Called Christmas with Henry Lawful. He's not breaking any laws. Kristen Wiig, and Stephen Merchant. And lastly on Netflix, we got Saving Santa with Martin Freeman, icon Tim Curry, and Ashley Tisdale. But what if you don't have Netflix? What if you only have Peacock? What if I want to get on the cock? Kit, what's on there? What's on the cock?
Why do I have to say it?
Are you gonna call?
Calling HR. Did you remember that? I'm calling HR.
Again? Oh man, twice in one episode. I'm gonna get canceled before we even get started, aren't I?
Yeah, I have a feeling that might happen to us because you can't stop mentioning your cock. Anyway, on Peacock, we have Genie with Melissa McCarthy and Papa Esidu and Mark Maron. As a bonus, if you look it up on YouTube, you can find Alec Jones singing a duet with himself. Walking in the Air, the song that he did when he was a kid for the 1982 movie The Snowman.
YouTube has the original version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special re-uploaded for the first time in decades, and YouTuber Dave McRae dropped the teaser trailer for his Black Christmas fan film, It's Me Billy Chapter 2. Full disclosure, I am one of the backers of that movie. And on video on demand, For some reason, Jaleel White returns as nerd icon Steve Urkel in the new animated film Urkel Saves Santa. There's a disturbance in the Force, a new documentary about the making of the infamous Star Wars holiday special. And Tubi TV has a bunch of Christmas horror B-movies if you want to scare your family out of the house a little sooner than later, you know what I'm saying?
That's an excellent get out of here, we're happy to see you go kind of film.
And that's going to do it for us this week. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and tune in next time and take another bite of the GeeKlare.
Say good night, Donnie.
Good night, Donnie.